This is the Shoulda Bet More podcast, presented by Gold Boys Network. Here's your host, Will Hill.
Welcome to the Shoulda Bet More podcast, presented by Gold Boys. Coming up on the show, Kelley Bydlon of A Numbers Game, VSiN, will join us. We'll go over the NBA playoffs. We'll react to Warriors-Rockets, which is taking place right now. We'll go over the other series, get his thoughts, series spreads, correct series score, all of the different ways you can play these. So excited to talk to Kelley. Like I said, Warriors and Rockets taking place right now, so we'll react to the conclusion of that on the other side here, and I'll just start here with the rest of the NBA, my thoughts for Monday, and it was strange on Sunday, wasn't it, to sit there. 3:30 on Sunday is usually prime time for the NBA. Usually they go out of their way. They bend over backwards to give you a game Sunday in the afternoon, and there was nothing. The Pacers-Cavs was 6:05 Eastern, and then Warriors-Rockets with an 8:30 start. You would think a Game 7 they would want more prime time than 8:30 on Sunday night in the East Coast. That's a late start. So interesting, very strange scheduling scenario in terms of that. But I'll get to my thoughts for Monday. First of all, Pacers-Cavs was a fun Game 1. I get the sense that people all of a sudden are giving the Pacers a chance. I think is a fair characterization. I don't think it's unfair to say, the Pacers could have a shot in the series. I still have a hard time getting there in terms of them winning the series. But if Garland is going to be out, if Darius Garland is going to be out, and it doesn't sound promising, originally I was torn between 5 and 6. Now torn more between 6 and 7. Plus the Pacers have a game in the bank here, as again that was a fun game. Almost stayed under after just a wild amount of offense the first half, the first three quarters. It did slow down, and the game died somewhat late, but did still go over, and the Pacers pull off the upset. I would still just be very careful of overrating Indiana a little bit. I actually think Cavs here minus 175 for this series is actually a good bet because, look, Indy won the game by 9, but they gained 30 points from behind the arc. They shot 53% from 3. Cleveland shot 25% from 3. That is very unlikely to continue throughout the series. You would expect in Game 2, we see this all the time. We talk about this all the time. The team that gets home court taken away from them in round 1, in Game 1, and the team that loses Game 1 at home almost always comes back and absolutely rolls in Game 2. There's more of a sense of urgency. The team that is down 0-1 is the higher seed, so they're usually better to begin with. The team that is up 1-0 is the lower seed, and they're not as good, and there's just a sense of satisfaction that sets in. So I would look for Cleveland to lay it here. It's expensive at minus 9. DraftKings has minus 9, FanDuel is minus 10, so I think that 9's a good number. It feels like Indiana's got enough offense to stick around, but I would expect Cleveland to pull away and win this game by double digits. That's usually how it goes. Usually, not only does the team down 1-0 win Game 2 at home, they usually win it pretty big. So, Cavs minus 175 for the series. Cavs minus 9 for Game 2. I think the FanDuel number's better. I'd imagine by the time you listen to this, both those numbers tick up because I think that both numbers are a little cheap on Cleveland. Not that minus 9 is some bargain, but I do think just the nature of losing Game 1 at home lends itself to winning and winning comfortably in Game 2. As far as these other series, I saw there was 11 people that picked. I think it was on ESPN. 11 people predicted the Cavs-Knicks series. All 11 picked Boston. That part didn't surprise me. What surprised me, I think eight or nine. The majority of the people making the picks had it a 6 or 7 game series. I don't see it that way. I actually like, of all this stuff, Boston in 5 plus 215 because Boston doesn't seem to sweep anybody. But this is a really tough ass. This is a tough matchup for the Knicks here. Brunson, Boston's got a lot of guys that they can throw at Brunson. Now we'll see the availability of Drew Holiday, who missed part of last series with a hamstring. That matters. But if they have Holiday, White, some of these other longer defenders, they've got guys to throw at Brunson, and they have guys to expose Brunson defensively on the other end. They've just got so many skilled guys where you can create mismatches. You can bring Towns away from the basket. This Knicks team, Brunson's already banged up, and we've seen him, in all the Knicks last year, kind of get worn down in the second round. I just think, and the bigger picture of the Knicks just don't have. They had a toughness last year with their roster, with their defensive intensity. There's a toughness that's missing, an intensity that's missing with this group for whatever reason. Towns doesn't provide that, even though he's a very skilled player. Even Bridges, to some extent, doesn't really represent toughness. It's just not as tough a team here. Boston's just better than the Knicks. So I would expect something like Boston wins the first two. They get split 3-4 in New York, and then they win in five. I'd love to see a competitive series. I'd love to see this go 6 or even 7, and the Knicks have a chance. That'd be a lot of fun. I just don't quite see the Knicks with enough here, and I just think there's enough mismatches in Boston's favor here that they win and win a relatively short series. So I do like Boston in this spot. And the final one, and Boston's minus 800 for the series. OKC's minus 700 against Denver. What a no-show that was by the Clippers. Everyone in the world picked the Clippers to win that series, and same old Clippers. They just Harden doesn't do anything. Kawhi, who kind of flies under the radar in these big games, he's got, as great as he is when he's great. He's had a few of these on his resume too, where he disappears. But anyway, Denver moves on. Saturday night with the Game 7 win. It is OKC Denver. This is a really tough spot for Denver. I understand they've got Jokic, and you can never completely discount a team with Jokic like discounting a team with Mahomes. Jokic can drag this team to a win, maybe two, I would think. But OKC is just so much better. They're rested. They haven't played since last Saturday. Meanwhile, Denver's here, huffing and puffing to the finish line against the Clippers. Granted, Game 7 was one where they could cruise, but they had to play Jokic a lot of minutes. They had to play their starters a lot of minutes. They don't have a ton of depth. So I would expect OKC to jump on them and win Game 1 pretty comfortably. Similar to Knicks Celtics, where it's like, all right, OKC probably wins the first two. They split 3-4, and then OKC closes out in 5. Again, no real dog in the fight other than throughout the season. A few times I recommended OKC Boston finals at 5-1. So hopefully that gets home for anyone that cashed or tailed that. But other than that, I'm rooting for a good series, a long series. I just don't know if Denver has enough. We'll see. There's of course questions about OKC. Do they have a second scorer? We got to see them do it. I think OKC answers those questions. I think OKC rolls. There's like the 2-1 plus 220. That's the short shot for plus 5. Is that enough for me? No, just because first of all, I could see a sweep, and I guess I could see Denver winning 2 if Jokic is just that dominant. But anything similar to Knicks Celtics, anything 6 or more feels like a little bit of stretch. Like a lot would have to go right for Denver to get this to 6. Probably looking at a 5-gamer or so. Maybe Pacers, Cavs will give us some juice. Maybe we'll get some unexpected good series between OKC and Denver and Boston, New York. But if we don't, we are looking at, I think, a hell of a conference finals. And Cavs Celtics, if it ends up being that, I think will be good. And I do think that will still be the conference final. And then we'll see what happens out west. But coming up next, and we'll get back to baseball. We'll probably do some baseball here on the Wednesday show, but with the NBA playoffs in full swing, doing a lot of NBA, but plenty of time for baseball all summer, and we'll do it again probably some capacity on Wednesday. But coming up, Kelley Bydlon will get his thoughts on Warriors Rockets, react to that, and all of the series prices, series markets, and the games for Monday, and more. That is next. This Shoulda Bet More podcast. All right, we are back. Shoulda Bet More podcast. The Warriors do it again. They advance. They win another back-breaking game in Houston, as they've done a million times in this run. To discuss that and all the other series, it is the great Kelley Bydlon, our buddy from VSiN. Long shots, a numbers game. You can catch him everywhere. Kelley, thanks for coming on, man. What did you expect going into this game? Because I think you and I were both surprised to see a Game 7 on Friday. But now that we got one, did you expect? I phrased it this way, and you can react from here. I phrased it as one of those you're going to feel dumb either way, because I thought Houston had some real advantages, and I kind of felt like they were going to win. And on the same by the same token, I said, man, you're really going to bet against Curry and Butler against a team with that lacks offense like this. So what did you like going in, and what's your reaction to the game?
Yeah, no, I have very, very similar thoughts going in. So it was a big old stay away spot for me today. But great game to watch. I mean, look, it was a lot of Buddy Hield in the first, Steph Curry in the second. Just to oversimplify things. But Houston did a lot of what they wanted to do on the glass. We saw that continue and roll over into this game. And it's just, man, I think when it comes down to it, you do look at the box score, and sure, you had some guys have some decent games. I mean, Amen Thompson and Şengün both going over 20, but it's just always the constant question with this Rockets team is where are you going to go when it matters, when you need points the most, and that was just always missing throughout this really throughout this entire series, and was their biggest question heading into the playoffs, and it showed up massive tonight in the game 7, and they go home, and I think we'll see some offseason moves to address that.
Have you seen a series line here, Minnesota and Golden State?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, and I don't think I'm going to be involved anymore. I didn't think this was going to be. So what I'm seeing like minus 170, 180.
Also, it's even going up.
Kind of openers and going up. In game 1, 5.5, now out to 6. Little high. I thought it was going to be more Wolves minus 125, 130 ish maybe. And if it was, anything in that range or below it, probably would have been a small Minnesota play for me heading into this. But man, I think at this number, it's going to be just attack it game by game here.
Yeah, and even I think Stan Van Gundy was making the point as this game was winding down. You got a flurry of points late, which some of those live totals affected those, but pre-flop stayed way under. I don't know if you saw this, but the over took a ton of money, which is unusual for a game 7 because I got 200 Friday night. As soon as this went to a 7th game, I said, I'm going to get ahead of the number. And it went 6 points the other way, which never happens, and then it stays way under. But Van Gundy was making the point, Stan, that here are the Timberwolves fighting all this time to stay out of the play-in at the end of the regular season. Who would have thought they're here in the second round with home court advantage? It's very strange how it played out.
Yeah, it really is. And I think you could make the argument right now that they're quite possibly the second best team in the Western Conference. So yeah, they're right there. Yeah, that total movement was wild today because that was, I think it opened lower than I was expecting. So I wasn't really running to bet the under on that game. But then you saw the adjustment today and it left me scratching my head a bit. I was like, all right, it's another one. I'm just going to stay on the sidelines. But you're right, Will, just going under game 7. Always a good idea.
All right, I'll give you the different correct series score possibilities, and let me know if you find anything interesting. I love these markets. I think they're fun. Okay. I do think you can find.
Yeah, I usually do too. I haven't bet anything yet for any of these, but yeah, let's play it out.
I gave out Warriors in 7 in this series on a numbers game before the series, and by the time game 7 came around, I completely chickened out and thought the Rockets would win. Same with Nuggets. I gave up Nuggets plus 7, and I like the Clippers midway through that series. So sometimes you got to stick with your gut. So this is interesting. A lot of these numbers are bunched up. The short shot, I'll let you guess. What do you think the short shot is? Timberwolves, Wolves, correct series score.
For the Wolves Golden State series?
Yes.
Wolves in, what is that going to be? Wolves in 6?
Wolves in 7 is the short shot plus 380, which makes sense. They get the 7th game at home and they're close enough.
Yeah.
So Wolves in 7 is plus 380. Wolves in 5 is plus 450. Warriors in 6 is plus 475. If you do like Wolves in 6, plus 600. Warriors in 7, plus 700. With the Warriors' ability to win on the road and their experience, not a horrible bet. Timberwolves to sweep 4-1. Warriors in 5, 9-1. Warriors to sweep 15-1.
Yeah, man,
is there a bet there?
They always juice that home court up so much for those. It would be Warriors in 6, Warriors in 6, or Timberwolves in 6 for me. If anything, man. That's where it would probably be. For if I'm going to bet into that market, that's probably where I'd be looking at. I think Warriors they'll take one, they'll take a couple games off them. I like the Wolves though overall in this series. Sure, I get it. You get the home court in game 5, game 7, but you get a little boost on a number like that. I do expect the Warriors to make noise in Minnesota at some point here. So I that's probably, if I had to bet that, that's probably where I'd go.
Yeah, that's not the same Warriors home court that they used to have in the old building. It's where it was just deafening, and part of that they had better teams, but that was a hard place to win. This place, not as much. Cavs Pacers was the first game, and this was very strange. I made this point in my open. Very strange. 3:30 Eastern on a Sunday. They have no games. They put everything start at 6 o'clock Eastern, then 8:30 Eastern. I don't know why they did that. I'm sure there was a rhyme or reason, but I can't figure it out. What did you think going in? Does anything change after game 1?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that was a massive game 1. I mean, I think right away with the Darius Garland news coming into it, and that is I think a major concern for the Cavs going forward. And this Pacers team, look, they looked great. I think it's easy for people like me that say this a lot of, hey, let's go look at some shooting numbers and see how repeatable some of this is. And I think that's a major question going forward. But for them, for how big of dogs they were, and I think even for people like me that thought this was clearly the 3rd best team in the East, but could they really make some noise going in there and making a statement win like that in game 1? I think that's massive, no matter what. And even if we're talking about them shooting lights out, and that's going to be hard to repeat going forward. But you get you steal that win or you take that win in Cleveland, and then you got Darius Garland up in the air for the series here, and who knows with him going forward. Yeah, my thoughts start to shift a little bit on this one, Will. I mean, I laid a game and a half with the Cavs in this series headed in. I'm not freaking out about it yet, but yeah, I expect to see a better Cavs return in game 2. I think I'll be looking at playing the first half in that one.
Yeah, that one for game 2, some 9.5 now, 10. I did my open a little earlier. It was 9. Yeah, I was between Cavs and 5 and Cavs and 6 coming in. Now I think I still like the Cavs to win, but now it's more, all right, Cavs and 6, maybe Cavs and 7.
Yeah.
Cavs and 5 is very unlikely now that you already lost one at home, no Garland. So any of those correct series score, you can just let me know which one you'd like, and I'll give you a price, and you let me know if it's worth it. What do you think for a prediction right now?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think earlier I would have said Cavs in 5 or 6, and that's why I laid the game and a half, and now it's probably looking more like Cavs in 7, I would say.
Yeah, and that is the short shot now. Cavs in 7 plus 270, then Cavs in 6 plus 370. Celtics Knicks here on Monday. Celtics laying 9. It's a big number. Celtics massive favorites for the series. They dominated the regular season. It just seems like, and I know there's some questions, injuries here for Boston, but man, they have a lot of bodies to throw at Brunson. They have a lot of ways to attack Brunson on defense. They have a lot of ways to attack Towns, bring him away from the basket. Brunson's already kind of banged up, and it just feels like this Knicks team, they lack a grittiness, a toughness that they had last year with some of these trades have disrupted that. Celtics never sweep anybody. To me, this is Celtics in 5. I have no thoughts on game 1. What are your thoughts? Take it whatever direction you want, game or series.
Yeah, I'll say Celtics, the old 4-1 gentleman sweep. That's where I'll go there as well. I feel like we're going to see both teams screw up a game completely. I think the Celtics will screw up some game at some point. We'll see Brunson catch fire, and we'll see some 3-pointers go the Knicks way or something like that. And they get caught in a game, maybe 2. But I think it's probably Celtics fairly easy here. Like you said, we saw them dominate through the regular season. This Knicks team is so, we're even into round 2. That Detroit team, it's not like it was an easy team for them to get by, but man, it is just so much living off of Brunson still, kind of like you're talking about, Will. I don't think enough is made, honestly, of some of the acquisitions that they made, and really high talent level players, and that you just have not been able to get this all to mesh together in that starting lineup, kind of like even as good as what we saw from this team the past couple years. And I was expecting more out of OG Anunoby this year. I was expecting more out of Mikal Bridges, and you gave up a lot to get those guys in here. And Karl Anthony Towns, just the inconsistency, man, it kills them. And it seems like the only thing they can rely on still, even after adding all that talent, is going to Jalen Brunson time and time again. So would be no shock if they take a game. I think they can take a game off the Celtics. Hard time seeing them win this series. But I might take a small flyer on that Celtics in 5, Will. Other than that, though, I'm not going to get too involved. There are some of those health concerns on the Boston side that I kind of want to see play out first before I go firing before the series starts. Maybe it's something I get more involved with after game 1 or game 2. I think that little bit, though, that 4-1 exact outcome is worth dabbling in before the series starts, though.
And that one's plus 215. I mean, I feel pretty strongly as you can feel in these ones where there's so many different possibilities, but at 2-1, you could sweep, you could get 6. I think it's 5, but is plus 215 enough bang for your buck? I'm a little bit indifferent, although I do like him in 5. OKC Denver. Jokic can probably drag them to a win, maybe 2. Is this the same sort of scenario as Knicks Celtics where, all right, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 6, but the Nuggets can't really win this series?
Yes, I think so. But man, were they impressive this past series against the Clippers. I was high on the Clippers going in. This starting 5 and just the experience that they have, man, it showed. And who knows? Maybe we see a little bit of a shook Thunder team for a game or 2 here again. We could have said we saw last year at points during the playoffs. So I would expect Nuggets to take 1 off of them, maybe 2. But man, I'll tell you, well, I'm all over the Thunder team game 1. I played them heavy game 1. I played the first half. I laid the 9 when it opened. I threw in a couple alts too. I think this Thunder team, with the massive rest advantage they got now, you're going to have 1 day off for this Nuggets team going in to play Thunder on the road. Thunder's been off for over a week now, preparing for these different matchup possibilities, but knowing exactly what they got to deal with Denver. This is why they added Isaiah Hartenstein to come to this team and help play Denver and Jokic. I expect to see the Thunder very locked in for game one, and they're not to be rust being an issue at all for this team. So yeah, I like them. First half, full game. I even played a little alts full game. I think that you're also going to see if Denver, after all the minutes they had to spend with players that, over that series with the Clippers, like we saw with Golden State, what was that, game 4, where you see a little bit of a punt scenario early. I think you could get into that position with the Nuggets here in this game 1. So love the Thunder for game 1. I'll tell you, Will, I laid it with the Thunder on the series price. I laid a 620 on the series price earlier today. Now that I went crazy with, but I think, I don't know if it's going to go 5, maybe 6. I have a hard time seeing the Nuggets get by the Thunder, and maybe they burn me yet again. But I'm willing to bet against it.
This SGA injury doesn't concern. No, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, that's not funny on a Sunday night. Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth.
I'll tell you, Garland, man, it was that one I was a little surprised by. I really thought we were just kind of resting him up and he was going to be good to go for this series. And now it sounds like there's some real concerns that, Cleveland's been keeping under wraps, and that really might change this whole series. So playoffs or injuries in the playoffs, man, they matter big time.
Yeah. And to clarify, no injury on SGA, just busting
Kelley's
just
screwing
chops.
Around. Yeah.
Just busting chops. No, you took the words out of my mouth with Denver. I go into game 1 and hey, it's a race to 4. I can't just be punting games, but at the first sign of trouble, if I'm down 15 in the third, there was a scenario in game 6 with Denver Clippers where down 14 in the fourth and Jokic still only playing 42 minutes. I can't have that happen. I gotta pick my battles here. It's a long series.
Yeah.
If I'm down, 15 middle of the third quarter, I'm not chasing my tail and I'm punting. The betting aspect of that is, especially live, if you see that coming, maybe some Murray, Jokic, points, rebounds, assists. You parlay them all to the under with the idea that maybe they go to the bench and they don't come back. Now, there is the aspect of, seems like from people, I think it was Bill Simmons talked about that on his podcast last week, that Jokic is basically coaching this team himself. So that would be a concern to that. But cooler heads should prevail. You would think they would opt for some rest here if they do get blown.
Yeah. I don't want to make that a huge thing because I don't think any team's planning on that, right? But you just know coming off of, if you get in a situation where it's 20 or whatever in the fourth, is it really worth chasing? Like you said, there's going to be big games down the stretch. The Denver stuff's interesting to watch, man, because this is a team that really was. But I think we're going to see some high scoring games in this series too. I'm going to have my eyes on that. We saw this Denver offense be really effective during the regular season. Of course, Oklahoma City was as well. Denver's defense though had some holes in. I'm wondering if they're going to be able to. I think some team totals over on OKC or just game total overs are going to be a good look throughout here. I didn't do anything with those game 1, but I think it's something to watch out for going forward in that series. Michael Porter Jr. Man, he played well enough to not make it sound, not make it look like the shoulder was a huge deal. But man, every report and everything you heard out of his mouth, it's, man, that shoulder is killing him. And is that going to live up through the entire series? That's a concern. And, on the other side, you also have Jamal Murray, who is arguably one of the best playoff players of all time. He's got the greatest point differential from playoffs to regular season of all time.
Especially when he sees LA on the other uniform. Lakers, Clippers, the other teams, not as much, but for some reason just kills LA. All right, last couple, just quickly. Let's just build out the rest of your bracket. It sounds like, reading between the lines, OKC and Minnesota, still Celtics and Cavs, and then where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Who's the finals?
Yeah, I would say those 4, and then OKC out of the West. I'll take them out of the West. And man, we're sitting here Sunday night recording this after the Cavs just drop one. It's so hard to answer without Garland. I'll say though, Garland comes back at some point and the Cavs still get there. How about that?
Yeah, I've been saying OKC Boston all year. I gave it out at 5-1 at Exacta. I was starting to worry about Cleveland. From a Boston standpoint. The fact that Garland is hurt neutralizes that a little bit, and then it looked great today. Although a lot of that was shooting. I don't know. I think Boston Cleveland. If there's ever a 7-gamer, that to me has 7 written all over it. Barring health for each one.
I am totally saying that though. If this Garland injury appears to be something where it is him missing the rest of the playoffs or something like that, scratch that. Give me Boston.
Yeah, and Jerome wasn't good today. They went at him a lot. The box score, I think, was a little misleading on Ty Jerome.
Well, that's what Cavs got some work to do too. What he put up 20 shots. That's not the answer for Garland being out. He's great. He's been awesome. He's been awesome this whole year. There's enough other talent on that team though that it's got to be spread around more. I do think if Garland's out next game, I'll probably be looking at some Donovan Mitchell props over. I know it's easy to say after him coming off a big time game, but man, we saw him ratchet down numbers this regular season to make the rest of these guys around him better. And if Garland's out and the rest of these guys are not giving him too much, I think he put up 30 shots tonight. I don't expect to see much of a drop down from there going forward.
Last one, the lottery. One of my favorite events of the year, especially when there's a good prospect, because it's so preposterous and it's so meaningful, is the lottery, which is a week from Monday, so May 12th. Where do you want Cooper Flagg to go? Where do you not want him to go?
Oh man, not really something I've thought about too much. I would love to see. I mean, I would love to see some type of pairing with San Antonio. So whether that means somehow they land that pick. Or I can get Giannis to San Antonio. That's really my dream, Will. It's just to get Giannis to San Antonio. So maybe that's a Cooper Flagg selection and trade or something like that. That would be awesome.
That's a fascinating idea. What would you rather have right now, Flagg or Giannis? You probably still would go Giannis because he's young enough and he's a top 3 player, even though Flagg is young and is a prospect. But that's at least interesting.
No, it's more of a coin toss than I'll make it out to be. That's for sure. But I would go Giannis right now.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I think sure there are a lot of smart people out there that I'm sure would say take Cooper Flagg at his age, but
I mean, Giannis,
he's a top 3 player in the NBA, like you said.
Yeah.
He's a top 3 player,
and Flagg is still
2.
a prospect, still a kid, even though we think he'll be good. I mean, what are the chances he's ever going to be a top 3, 4 player? So
I think the other part of that, and this is so hypothetical because obviously even the odds of San Antonio landing him are pretty slim. But you've already seen San Antonio start to act with the acquisition of De'Aaron Fox, act the way they should. If you cannot be looking at any year as a wasted year for Victor Wembanyama. So I think that even when we're talking a Flagg versus Giannis argument like that, it's yes, get him proven players and good players now to get him a chance to win.
Yep, I totally agree with that. I would think the same thing. Although the flip side of that, I remember say Anthony Davis with the Pelicans where they had the same thing and LeBron had just left Cleveland. Like, oh, we got to get this guy players. So they went the other way. I think they traded multiple ones for like Omar Ashik and made some bad trades. And then it backfires like, wait, I got nobody to play with because you guys made stupid trades. So it does work both ways. So nowhere you don't want him to go. Charlotte, do you have any sympathy? Charlotte, Utah, anything like that?
No, not really. Yeah. There's no teams I hate enough to like not want to see him go there. Like, or at least no teams that are that bad that I hate that much.
Yeah, I love the absurdity of just the ping pong balls, the way they draw. It's so absurd. I think it used to be more dramatic when we'd see the balls being picked out. Now they just take down the teams. I liked before when Stern would reach in and grab the balls, and people would always have conspiracy, frozen or whatever. But it's so ridiculous. It's great,
especially the cheesiness of how it used to be done too. Like, I like give me all the cheesiness. I want to say Charlotte. I'm at this point now that Charlotte's been trying to get me excited about that team for the past like 2 years. That I've given up. Like they're never going to be healthy. They're never going to do things the right way. I'm giving up on that one. Actually, don't send Cooper Flagg there. Send him somewhere else.
Kelley, this is great, man. Appreciate you staying up here a little bit past your bedtime to come on. Let everyone know where we can find your stuff.
At Kelley Bydlon on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Long Shots is the name of the golf podcast. Check it out. I did not have Scotty Scheffler this week. He was very good.
He was. Kelley, we'll do it again soon, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Will.
All right. Thanks to Kelley Bydlon. Go to goldboys.com. Check out the Discord, rate, review, subscribe. We'll be back Wednesday. See you then.